Hi, everyone. I'm HPRS owner and race director John LaCroix. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is the crew and pacer video for the 2025 Silverheels Trail Runs. If you are planning to come on out to support your runner over the course of the Silverheels Trail Runs, then this video is for you. We're going to go over just some of the most important rules that you folks need to adhere to in support of your runner. We're also going to go over some of the logistics that are critical for your success and the event's success. And I'm also going to show you a whole bunch of resources that are available at your disposal. So thanks so much for taking the time to interact with this video. What an exciting time. I'm sure that your runner is incredibly excited to get out there on the trails at the Silverheels Trail Runs, and they've asked you to be there with them, to be there for them, to lend a helping hand, to cheer them on, to share with them in this incredibly magical and epic moment that they're going to be taking on. I myself I have been an ultra marathon runner for over 20 years. I've been a full-time race director for over 11. I've been around. I can tell you just how meaningful it is to have your support, your love, and your care while out there on the course, even though we know that runners will undoubtedly get cranky while they're out there. So thank you so much for being willing to help them out, coming on out and lending them a hand, showing them that love, care, and compassion that we're known for at HPRS. It's such a pleasure to have you a part of our event. So this meeting, again, is designed to make sure that everybody understands fully what the expectations are, what the rules are, where you can and cannot go, what you can and cannot do, and provide you with the resources for success. The information that I'm going to share with you, some of it is in multiple locations. I'm one of those people that believes ignorance is not an excuse. I'm also one of those folks that believes if you've been given the tools and the materials necessary to follow the rules, to ensure that you're successful, to ensure your runner's success, and to ensure our success, then we're all going to have a great time out there. And there should be no reason for excuses or to hear, I don't know. So this really is an important video, and let's just get into it. So first things first, runners. And crews and pacers. I'll say this, crews and pacers, if your runner hasn't communicated to you yet where they want you to go, if they haven't communicated to you yet any of the logistics in regards to where to go, where not to go, what to do, what not to do, where they want you, how long they want you there, et cetera, you got to communicate with them. Runners, it is your responsibility to let your crews and pacers know where you want them and what you want them to do. Hugely important. So I'll throw that out there. Also, runners, it's your responsibility to share with your crew and your pacers the pre-race email, the information email. In that email, there are links, obviously, to this video. There's a link to the crew and pacer folder. They'll have all the links to all of the information that you've received. There's also 2 clinics that I've pre-recorded, one that talks about what crews are and one that talks about what pacers are. And those clinics are each an hour long. They're very long. I don't expect anybody to watch them. I'm just saying that those clinics are there at your disposal. If you have no idea what you're doing, if this is your first time crewing and pacing and you need a little help, a little nudge along the way, then those resources are there for you to use. Okay, so it's up to the runners to provide all of the information, all the links. It's my job to relay to you what's in all of those. So let's dig in. I'm going to show you the runner's drive. We're going to just get right to it here. Let me see. Zoom out a little bit. It's a little much. Okay, here we go. So this is what the runner's drive looks like. And I want everybody to know you can go to the Human Potential Running Series website under the events tab, click on Silverheels Trail Runs, scroll down, and you're going to see on this page, it says right here, runner's drive. Also, you might on this page pay attention to a note on spectators, crews, and pacers. So here we go. I'm going to click on Runner's Drive. It opens up a little bit. You'll notice that there's a link there. Click here. And when you click on that, it's going to bring you here. This is the Runner's Drive. Important for crews in this drive. First is the aid station chart. Okay. Why is that important? Well, this chart is going to show you exactly where crews and pacers can be. So again, on this chart, you see here in the far right column, it says drop bags, crews, and pacers. D for drop bags, C for crews, P for pacers. Okay. So as you can see, for those of you in the 50 mile, you can have a crew at Poor Man's 1, Poor Man's 2, and Terriall 2. You should make note that you cannot have a crew at Terriall 1. Do not send a crew to Terriall 1. Again, your crew can go to Poor Man's 1, Poor Man's 2, and Terriall 2. You're going to pick up your pacer your second time through Poor Man's if you'd like. You don't have to. It's not required, but that is a suitable pacer pickup spot. That is mile 32.8. That pacer should be able to run with you the full near 16 miles all the way to Terriall 2. All right? So very important that pacer be able to make it to Terriall 2. You can switch out a pacer at Terriall 2. You can pick up your first pacer at Terriall 2, and they can run with you the last 5.5 miles into the finish line. All right, the same is true here for the 100K. You folks can have a crew at Michigan Creek and Terriall. That is it. Those are the only two places. Those are also the two places where you would pick up a pacer. So you could pick up your first pacer at Michigan Creek, mile 35. That pacer should be able to run with you the 27 miles. Rugged, hard 27 miles to Terriall. Don't bring a pacer who has never run a marathon. I repeat, do not bring a pacer who has never run at least a marathon to go with you on this section. Not a good idea. Okay? So again, you could pick up your first pacer at Michigan Creek. You can switch out at Terriall. You could also pick up your first pacer at Terriall. And crews are only allowed at Michigan Creek and Terriall for the 100K. In the 100 mile, same thing. You folks can have crews and pacers at Michigan Creek, crews and pacers at Terriall 1. At this point, those of you in the 100 mile, there is a drop-down option. If you've missed cutoffs, but you're still within the 100K cutoffs, awesome. You can drop down to the 100K and keep going. If you are behind the 100K cutoffs, you're done. But Terriall Aid Station, this is a place where you have to make a decision. Either you're going to commit to the 100 mile or you're going to drop down to the 100K and call it a day. So at Terriall 1, you can run to the finish line, finish the 100K, get a finisher's award and your time in the 100K results. Or you can continue on in the 100 mile, and if you should drop out any time after mile 58, you will unfortunately be a DNF. So Michigan Creek, Terriall, Crooked Creek 1, Poor Man's 1. Please note, there's a very short distance between these two stations. I don't think it's unreasonable for a crew to be at both spots, but it's a tight turnaround depending on how fast the runner's going, time of day. So you might want to pick one of these over the other. And my suggestion would be send a crew to Crooked Creek 1, and if they make it to Poor Man's in time to see you, great. And if they miss you, it's okay. They'll be there when you get back to Poor Man's 2. Again, you can trade out, pick up a pacer, Poor Man's 2, Crooked Creek 2. Please keep in mind that the route from Poor Man's 2 to Crooked Creek 2 is a different route. It's longer, way more time. Trust me, way more time between Poor Man's 2 and Crooked Creek 2 for your crew to get over there and to assist you at both locations on the way back in. And then Terriall the second time, you guys. So that's for the 100 mile. All right, so the aid station chart is important. Also important is the runner guide. Very important for all crews and pacers to engage with this document. It explains all of the do's and don'ts, the rules, the regulations, everything associated with this event for all runners, all crews, all pacers, all spectators. Okay, that's all in there. Please remember, and I want you to be able to see me for this, so please remember that crews, pacers, and spectators are an extension of the runner. Should a crew, pacer, or spectator break any of the rules, including the HPRS Code of Conduct, you could get your runner disqualified from the event. And depending on the severity of the infraction and how you guys handle us telling you that this is not okay, you could get your runner banned for life from all of our events. I just want to put that out there. Please remember all rules and regulations, expectations, everything, it extends to you, crews, pacers, and spectators. It really does. Okay. Other things in here, there is a Google map. This is all the courses are on here. You can see them, 100 mile, 100K, 50 mile. They're right there. Also important in this document are the segment maps. Your runners have access to this as well. This is here, let me scroll down. Here's Michigan Creek. This is the first place those in the 100 mile and the 100K can see their runner. So this kind of tells them, all right, to the next aid station, which is French Gulch, is 9.1 miles. There's the gain and loss that they will endure, and there's a elevation profile there to match up with it. A map of that section of the route. If you're a pacer, you want to pay attention to this so that you know where you're going and what you're going to endure. Minimum elevation, maximum elevation that they'll be at during that section, the average elevation of that section, the surface, in this case, it's 54% single track and 46% Forest Service road. And then a lot more beta here for them. When's the next time they're going to see their crew? 23 miles till they see their crew again. They could have a drop bag at French Gulch, so it's 9.1 miles to the next drop bag. They can't switch out a pacer or pick up a pacer for another 23 miles. There's going to be a porta potty at Michigan Creek, and there'll be another porta potty at French Gulch. So that's telling them where the next porta potties are. Also, information here about the next cutoff. So the next cutoff is 8:15 p.m. on Friday at aid station 5. That's mile 44.1. That's French Gulch. So they've got to be through this section by 8:15 p.m. on Friday at the latest. By the way, our cutoffs are not arrival times. That is the time that they must have completely left the aid station and they're on their way to the next one. That's how our cutoffs work. This is the absolute latest time, mathematically, based on the slowest possible pace to complete this event, and also based on historical data that they may leave this station or leave the next station, which again is French Gulch, and still make it to the finish line. So that's how we set those. And then it's 71.5 miles to the finish. And there's one of these for each and every section of the entire course. We have one of these only for the 100 mile, 100K, and 50 mile courses. Okay. But most importantly is the crew and pacers folder. I have a little more editing to do here. That's why the 50 mile crew directions are a different color right now. But I want right now to just point out to you all that the crew and pacer manual is here. This manual includes all of the rules and regulations and responsibilities for pacers on one page. And then it goes into the crews. And same thing. Everything is here. Some of these things I'm going to talk about again. And then here are the driving directions, written out driving directions on how to get to each of these aid stations that you're allowed to go to. So Como Roundhouse to the start for the 100-mile and the 100K. The start to Michigan Creek to Tarryall to Crooked Creek to Poor Man's, and then continuing on in the Poor Man's to Crooked, etc. 50-mile cruise. You folks start down on page number 9. Como to Poor Man's. That's the first place that you can go to. So you have different directions. They start on page 9. Okay. So these are important. And ancillary to this is this map. What I want to show you here, this is really important for us to talk about. So I'm going to zoom in on this map. I assume at this point in our lives, everybody knows how to use Google Maps. If you don't, start playing with this before the race so that you can get acquainted with it. But on this map, we can see we've got the start line for the 100-mile and the 100K. That's the Burning Bear number 601 trailhead. And then you will notice these areas in yellow. Those are the areas where you're allowed to park. So I want to zoom in here to Abyss Trailhead first. So if you're coming to the start, I want you to first park in these parking spaces. All right. There's a few there. I hope there's not that many of you this year that are showing up to that. But we need to make sure that our shuttle buses can come in and get out. Runners know that in the 100-mile, 100K, that if they don't have a ride, and we encourage them to please use the shuttle. Even if they have a ride, they have somebody who could take them. We are encouraging them to please take the shuttle. We want to fill the shuttles that we have. They're already paid for on our end, but it is a $25 fee to get on the shuttle. It's pretty minimal. It leaves at 3 a.m. from Como Roundhouse, which is the finish line. I want to ask you to get on the shuttle and take the shuttle here if you can. Crews, if you got to be here, again, we're going to park in these first, and then we need to make sure that the shuttle can come on through. So then we have our overflow. So what I want you folks to do, if you don't mind, if you're going to come here, you're going to pull into Abyss first. You're like, it's full. All right, well, then you're going to drive out. And I want you to park on the left-hand side of the road, facing the wrong way. So essentially, you're going to come into Abyss, you're going to drive out. And as you're coming down the road, we're going to park our first car here. And then you're all going to file in behind them. This is our overflow. I want you to drive to park as far over to the left as you can, facing out, being mindful that this is a bit of a blind curve. Okay, let me use a different color. Bit of a blind curve. And we're all going to congregate here for the start, which is right here. There will be no big balloon. There'll be no start-finish apparatus. There's going to be a bunch of runners standing around on the side of the road. We're going to start from there. There will be a porta potty at this location. If the potty isn't here, then it'll be up in the Abyss Trailhead. I told them to deliver it wherever they're most comfortable to do that. And then, the same things for all of these other aid stations. Here's Michigan Creek. As I zoom in, you can see where you can park, and I've numbered them. So over here, it says Michigan 1, Michigan 2, Michigan 3. So I'd like you to park in order. So once square 1 is full, is there room? If there's no campers there, park in space 2. And then space 3 is on the side of the road, right-hand side facing out. So essentially what you'll do is you're going to drive in, you're going to check out the parking situation in here. Nobody here? Great. Then you're going to come out, you're going to park on the side of the road, right-hand side facing out. The aid station's located right here. Little bit of walking. No more than 100 yards. It'll be okay. Also want to point out that because you can only have one crew vehicle per runner, I've indicated here Shuttle Point, Michigan. This is where folks who are going to the Michigan Creek aid station, You can park some cars here at your own risk. We don't have permission. It's just a public area. You can park a car there and shuttle your folks in from that location. This is the same thing at Terrial. This is another important one. Here's the aid station locale. Terrial 1, Terrial 2. I'm going to have to edit this just a little bit more. Nope, it's all right here. Check it out. I don't know why I had two maps open. It's wild. Okay, so here's Terrial, and I've indicated here on this map, Terrial turnaround. So what you all are going to do is you're going to drive in past the aid station. So this is where the course crosses, by the way. That's where the runners will go. Let me put you a different color here. This is where the runners are. Okay. If you're in the 100-mile, 100K, they're coming in this way. And then eventually everybody's coming both ways. But you're all going to drive in. You're going to come past the aid station slowly, and then you're going to turn around. And then I'd love you to park on the right-hand side of the road, facing out, as far over as you can get. And same thing. These are labeled Terrial 1, Terrial 2, Terrial 3. No parking here because we got to have the aid station. It's a busy place. A lot of tents, drop bags, coming and going, activity. There's a porta potty here. Okay, I want you folks to be mindful of a couple of things on this map. We're going to talk about it again. There's a house. There's a house. Houses here. There's another one in here. Please do not block any of their driveways. That's number one. I'm going to go over, I'm showing you these for a reason. We'll go over a little more here in a second. Also, you're going to notice here on the map, this is section 3, the last place where I'd like you all to park. And then you'll see this X, and that X indicates not beyond this point. We've got a neighbor right here. Another driveway here. This gentleman doesn't care for anybody being in the mountains. Never mind the fact that we're here. Does not care for it. This is the quintessential mountain person. Will come out and introduce us to his shotgun. So that's why there's a no parking beyond this point. All right. And let me head over. Crooked Creek's pretty easy for those of you who are going there. This is 100-mile, 100K only. We're just parking in a field. Plenty of room. 50-milers are not allowed to go there. 50-mile crews are not allowed to go there. I need to talk about Poor Man's. So this is the aid station proper. You are not allowed to park in there. This is a condition of our permit. Same thing. We've got our Poor Man's do not enter. We've got our Poor Man's turnaround. Okay. So what you folks are going to do, you're going to be driving in from Town Fairplay. I want you to turn around right here, and then you're going to park in Poor Man's 1, right-hand side of the road, facing out. If that gets full, a little too full for you, okay, drive a little bit past again, turn around, park on the right-hand side, facing out. But under no circumstances should you be driving in here. Do not even do the, oh, I'm just going to drive in and drop our stuff off. No, you are not. Please do not do that. Again, I'm going to show you why. There's a lot of neighbors in this area. A lot of neighbors. And they are not thrilled that the event takes place and that there's noise here. And these folks, they bought these mountain homes for peace and quiet and serenity to get out of the city. Some of them are full-time. They live here. They want it quiet. And we're making a ton of noise and inconveniencing them just by coming in. Out here on this road is a lot less disruptive because, as you can see, these folks have their own road over here. All right? These houses have their own road over here. So we're much less disruptive to them, but we are in their backyard. These folks over here, their driveways dump out onto this road. and we just want to be respectful of them. So that's why it's do not go past here, turn around, park in the road. All right? Everything's for a reason. It's not willy-nilly. It's not because we want to be jerks. Yeah, you got to walk in. It's all of a quarter mile. This is not unusual for 100-mile events to have to park off somewhere and walk in. I've gone to 100-milers where I've parked a car and then walked a quarter mile uphill one way. This is a pretty flat road. It's not challenging. If you are someone with family and they need ADA assistance, okay, that's a different story. But we're not going to pretend someone is ADA. We're not going to try to operate in the gray area. All right, friends, we're going to follow the rules to the best of our abilities, and we're going to park out here on the road, and we're going to walk into the aid station. Thank you so much for your understanding of that. So again, this is in the Crew and Pacer folder here on the 100-mile, 100K crew directions map. So again, in the crew handbook, you've got detailed directions on driving there, and then you've got a map that shows you specifically where you can and cannot park and all of the things associated with that. All right? Okay, so that stuff's all pretty important. That all applies to Pacers and crews. Pacers and crews, all of that applies to you. So thank you so much. Let's talk a little bit more here, just briefly about Pacers and crews again. So Pacers are allowed in the 50-mile, 100K, and 100-mile only. It's customary on our sport that Pacers are not allowed for any distance shorter than a 50-mile. So therefore, those in the 60K, 19-mile, and 10-mile, Pacers are not allowed in those distances. So just the 50-mile, 100K, and 100-mile. Your Pacers, you're going to sign a Pacer waiver, and then you're going to get a Pacer bib. And your Pacer bib you must wear that at all times while you're out on the course. You folks can take one Pacer bib and give it to the next Pacer if you want. Each Pacer can get their own Pacer bib. That's okay too. They're really fun. I'll show you what they look like. This is an example of it. You folks are the whip cracker. I'd pay close attention to the whip cracker over the runner that's puking. That is the job. Really, your job is to accompany your runner, to provide them some company, some friendship, making sure that they stay on course, making sure that they continue to eat and drink, and that's it. All right. Muling is not allowed. What is muling? There's really only one ultramarathon that I know of that allows muling in our sport, and that's the Leadville Trail 100. And you're not there this weekend. Muling is where the runner gives something to their pacer to carry for them. Or at the aid station, you're packing up your pacer with all this stuff that the runner's going to need. Here's some extra food. Here's extra socks. Here's my hiking poles. That is not allowed. The goal is, like, the whole purpose of the race is it's the runner versus the mountain, not the runner versus the mountain and anything that you can pawn off on somebody else. The runner has to carry all of their own gear. I know you folks are going to operate in the gray area on this one. Be weak. It's okay. I'm kidding. So big thing is, again, muling is typically not allowed. It's not allowed at our races. Carry your own gear. Please don't give anything to the pacer. Pacers, you really shouldn't be carrying your runner's gear. Carry your gear. Runner carries their gear. You folks are separated. Okay. So that's why I say your job isn't to carry things. You're not a mule. Your job is care, compassion, friendship, and making sure they stay on course, helping them with their sleep breaks. They're going to sleep. They're going to take a dirt nap. You're going to set a timer and make sure they only have 10 minutes. You're going to make sure they keep eating and drinking. That's the game. All right. So again, you're going to get a waiver. Sign that waiver. You can do waiver signing at check-in. Only during our check-in times. That's in our runner guide. So if you're going to show up to the Como Roundhouse at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday looking for a waiver and bib, you're not going to find it. You're not going to find anybody there to even help you. At that point, go to the station that you folks are going to be you're going to be jumping in at, or any station where a pacer can jump in at. Again, Michigan Creek, Terriel, Crooked Creek, Poor Man's. Any of those stations at any time that they're open, grab a pacer waiver, sign it. They'll give you a bib. Please do not run out to head off your runner. If you're at the aid station and you're waiting for your runner to come in, I'm going to head off up the trail and see if I can find them. Don't do that. That's against the rules. Please stay in the station and wait for your runner to arrive. Also, if you're pacing your runner, you guys should be coming in together. It's not a situation where the pacer is going to take off down the trail and get down to the aid station so that they can tell the crew everything that the runner's going to need when they get here. Stay together. Also, pacers, if you don't mind, please be self-sufficient. If you can bring your own food, your own snacks, greatly appreciated. That actually helps us keep our entry fees where they are, which is some of the lower entry fees in the sport today. We price all of our races at or below the industry average for like distances in our market. We're much lower on our entry fees, and we're just asking you to help us out with that. Of course you can take food from the aid stations. Of course you can refill your water and electrolytes at the aid stations. We are happy to support you. We're just asking if you don't mind being mindful in that way. It'd be greatly appreciated. So everybody's allowed one pacer at a time except for one exception, and I'm going to go over that in a minute. I'm going to discuss that with you as well. Everybody's allowed one pacer at a time. So there shouldn't be like an army of pacers following a runner until the final mile of the race. And again, I'm going to show that situation to you here in a minute. If you can't keep up, don't turn around and go back to the aid station. Once we hit the cutoff at an aid station, which again is like the latest possible time that a runner could go through there and still make it, eventually those aid stations are going to close and those volunteers are out of there. So if you can't make it, you must proceed to the next aid station, preferably to the next aid station where a crew can be, or one of our hubs, right? So in this case, late in the race, like, you're dropping at High Park, not a good idea. If you're having a problem at High Park and you're a pacer, you should head right for Poor Man's. Chances we are operating on a skeleton crew of volunteers for this race. We have huge needs for volunteers still. We don't have volunteers that are just gonna be able to like take off and drive you. You're going to be waiting until the aid station closes or somebody can come get you. That somebody is probably going to be me. I don't really have a plan of going to High Park this weekend. So you're going to be waiting a while. If you're up there and you're struggling, my suggestion is, and I'll show you this, if you're a pacer and you get up to High Park and you're just like, man, I'm not having it, hard time, whatever. Sorry. What you should do is, this is an out and back that your runners are going to be on. This is an out and back. They're going out to the Silverheels mine, and then they're coming back to High Park. If you get to High Park and you're just struggling, wait at High Park. Let your runner go out to the mine. Once they come back, they can pick you up and you guys can head out together. Okay? If you're really struggling at High Park and it's altitude related, get out of there right away and go back to Poor Man's. All right? Your runner will catch up to you. It's better that you wait at Poor Man's than at High Park. Okay, So keep progressing forward if at all possible, because the aid stations are going to close and then they're going to leave. And the worst thing would be if you turned around to go back to the aid station and then there's nobody there. Well, now you got to go figure out the whole ride situation. Speaking of rides, we do not provide Pacer transport. You guys, Pacers, you can leave a car. I prefer this. If your runner has a crew, please try to get to that aid station with the crew. Organize, figure out the logistics with the crew, how they can get you, where they can pick you up, how they're going to bring you in, whatever. But if you can get a ride with a crew, somebody else's crew, whatever, into where you're going to hop in, please do that. If you can't, of course you can park there. You can leave your car there. HPRS is not responsible for shuttling you to or from any of the aid stations. So you've got to have the logistics figured out on your own. That is between you and the runner and the runner's crew. Those are logistics that you need to figure out. That is standard across the entire sport of trail and ultramarathon running. I've finished over 24 100-mile races at this point. I can't recall a single time where there has been a pacer shuttle in any of the races that I've participated in. It's just, to me, it's not a thing. Again, Pacers, you got to follow the directions and the parking rules that are in the crew directions in the crew and Pacer handbook. That one exception for Pacers is the final mile. So again, here is Como, the finish line of all of our events. The runners are going to come off what is called the Gold Dust Trail, and they're going to end up getting onto this paved road. It's a paved road. It comes into Como, and this is the final mile of the course that I just traced out in blue. Any runner in any race, 10 mile, 19 miles, 60K, 50 mile, 100K, 100 mile, all of the distances can have a pacer, as many as they want, the entire family, friends, kids, loved ones. Would love to have you participate. I think it would be a beautiful thing. But I want to show you that here there is a gate. Up this road is a Christian camp called Camp Como. That is private property. Please do not go in there for any reason. You can see the road is dirt, and then it turns into pavement. All right. Oh, I guess I misspoke. It's a dirt road that way. It's a paved road this way. But there's a gate right there. Also, I want you to notice that on both sides of the road here, this is actually private property. I could pull up parcel data here on this map, and I'm going to zoom out, and there you go. You can see a parcel that's private. And the house is right here. There's a couple other little driveways out in here and stuff. Point being, these folks do not want anybody parked on the side of the road here. In fact, this guy's driveway, he has a gate, and he also has a bunch of game cameras all over here. He is, again, quintessential mountain person, does not want anybody parked on the side of the road here. So when you folks come up from town to hang out at the gate and wait for your runner to come off the course so that you folks can meet up and have this, yay, oh my God, there's just a mile left. You're so amazing, incredible. We love you. And you're going to go with them. I have to ask you to please stay 100% on the road. Do not put a chair in the shoulder. Do not put your body in the shoulder. Don't put a car. Don't drive up here. Please do not drive up here at all. Immediate disqualification. These folks could, if they complain enough, we could have this event ended by the county. This is pretty critical. Please stay on the dirt road at all times. Other than that, as I said, you folks are more than welcome to walk in from town. So again, you're going to park where you're supposed to park here at the Como Roundhouse, and then fam is going to walk that final mile backwards. And they're going to come up here, and you're going to wait at the green gate. and you're going to stay on the dirt road. And then as your runner comes off the course and they see you and you have your glorious moment, then you're all going to go back to town together. That is the only exception on only having one pacer at a time. All right, let's move on to crews. Last bit. Just the important things that I need you folks to know. So, big thing, there's a big difference between crew and spectator. Crews are typically there to give something or take something from the runner. Spectators are just there to watch. Spectators are not crews, right? So, spectators can only go to crew approved locations. So, if you're a 50-mile runner and you have a crew, your spectator is technically a crew. That's the word we're using. That spectator is going to crew spots. Poor man's 1 and 2, Terry all 2. 50 milers should not be sending any crews or spectators to any to Terry all 1 or Crooked Creek. 100K and 100-mile runners. I should not see crews or spectators out at Handcart or up on Georgia Pass. Only at Michigan Creek, Tarryall, Crooked Creek, Poor Man's. These are a condition of our permits. If we've got crews going wherever they want, driving up and down county roads, whatever county roads that they want, I'm just going to go over here, and I know that the course goes by this road, it crosses this road, we're going to go over there and cheer them on. You are jeopardizing our permit. We have not acquired permission to have spectators in that spot. I'm also going to assume that if you're in a spot that you're not supposed to be, that you're accruing in an illegal location and you will get your runner disqualified. As a race director, when I go out to get permits for these events, I have this massive operating plan that took me a good 6 months of negotiation with 2 different national forests, 3 different U.S. Forest Service ranger districts, Summit County, Park County, Little Town of Como, Breckenridge. I need to get yeses from all of those people. If we're breaking the rules, if we're going to places we're not allowed to go, if we're spectating in places we're not allowed to spectate, and somebody calls in and complains, that jeopardizes our permit. We could lose our permits. So that is why you're only allowed to go to some places. And I'm telling you, the rule is you can't go anywhere outside of those places. It's not because I'm a party pooper. It's a condition of our permits. So you folks are allowed to have and it's one crew vehicle. Let me see if I have okay. One crew vehicle per runner. When the runner's checking in, they're going to get a placard. That placard must be in your rearview mirror in your car or on the dashboard. That's your parking pass for crew to be at our aid stations. Every crew needs to have a placard. You are only allowed one placard for one crew vehicle per runner. Friends, if you have more crew members than you can fit into one vehicle, your crew is way too big. Totally unnecessary. But I get it. You want to have as many family and friends there to support you and be there. So naturally, you're going to have more than one crew vehicles worth of people. And that's why I've shown you on that map. These are the shuttle stops. These are the places where you can park and shuttle more of your crew people in. And that is your responsibility to play shuttle and drive people back and forth. If you want to do that, great. Go ahead. Knock yourself out. But again, one vehicle per runner. You're getting a crew placard. That placard must be displayed in the vehicle. If it is not, you will run the risk of having your vehicle towed. Towing in the mountains is incredibly expensive. I promise you. Please don't test us on this. Please don't test the county. Please don't test our land managers. Please just comply. It's greatly appreciated. Crews are allowed at designated locales only. Again, I showed you where you can find those. Most importantly, crews, folks, you're an extension of the runner. So all rules apply. But also, it's really important that you take care of yourselves. Make sure you have a food schedule. When are you going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Do you have a cooler? Are you making lunch at the aid stations? Places to eat. A great place for breakfast or lunch is down in Jefferson. I'll show you that on this map. See if I can find it here. Jefferson is the road in and out of Michigan Creek, where I showed you folks that you can have a shuttle vehicle there. So this little junction, Hungry Moose Caboose. All right, Jefferson Market. There's a general store here. This is one place that you can obtain some food. This caboose has great food. Highly recommend. The other place that you can go is the town of Fairplay. There's nothing in Como. Don't even think. It's really small. Fairplay's got a bunch of places. Odo's, great little roadside cafe. There's Highside Brewing here and barbecue. That's a great place. There's a Family Dollar right there if you need any supplies. Let me circle these for you. Odo's, Highside Brewing, Family Dollar. There's a gas station right here. That is the Sinclair. There's Hunt Brothers Pizza or something in there. There's usually like a food truck here. There might be one in here. Also Fairplay has this. I don't know if the soup pot's still there, but there's a breakfast place right here on the corner. Prather's Market is a grocery store. JR's Pizza Place is new. That used to be the South Park Brewery. I can't vouch for it. And then here downtown, Fairplay, there's other places. Java Moose, Coffee Spot, Mr. Burrow Cafe, Park Bar. McCall's Park Bar is a great place to get burgers. There's another place here on the corner. There's I think that's about it. All right. So unless you're driving over to Breckenridge, and I'm going to zoom out, Alma's got some roadside stuff. I know this is going on now. And then Breckenridge is way over there. But if you go to Breck, don't even think about going to any of the aid stations that are on that side of the mountain. Very strict. It took me 9 years. Took me 10 years to get a yes, to have a permit that allowed this event to go over to that side of the divide. And the rules over there are incredibly strict. That's why everything is on this side of the divide. But that's where you folks can get some food and take care of yourselves. The point is this. Have a food schedule. Bring a cooler. Make sure you drink. You're at elevation. It's going to be very hot over race weekend. Record highs for the area. Make sure you eat. Remember that you're at elevation. You're going to need to drink more than you ever thought that you had to. Do not get drunk. No drugs, including marijuana. Marijuana is not legal outside of your home. Yeah, most of Colorado operates in the gray area on that too. We're not doing that at the race. If you are drunk, if you're buzzed, if you're high, if you're on stoned or whatever, you are nearly useless for your runner. They have asked you to come there to help them, not to be a nuisance, not to be a nuisance to the race. So please, no drinking. You can drink, just don't get drunk. Don't get stoned. No other drugs. Thank you. We went over this. Again, customary in our sport, crews are only allowed for anything shorter than 50 miles. That's why there's no crews allowed for the 60K. This is the back of the parking placard. The rules, again, are on the back of the placard. So now there's so many places that the rules are reiterated that ignorance is not an excuse. The big things, folks, if you're bringing children, please make sure they stay out of the aid station. One year we had kids playing with the stove while bacon was cooking. For real. Keep your Children under control. Crews must stay within 50 yards of the aid station. So if you're going to run down the trail a little bit, 50 yards, which means if we can't see you, you've gone too far. No dogs. Not on the course, not at camp, not anywhere. It's a hard no. We love your furry pals, but they're a safety issue and our insurance does not cover incidents involving them. Do not bring a dog. Don't even plan to, we'll just leave the dog locked up in the car and then we'll take it for little walks. No dogs. That's not okay. That's not an okay plan. I don't understand how people can claim that they love dogs and they love their dog, but they're going to leave the dog locked up in the car for the day just to take it out for pee breaks. That's not loving a dog. No dogs. Also, really important. We already did that. We did that.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Actually, friends, we don't actually need more cowbell. And I know, it's kind of a trail running thing. But at HPRS, we've chosen to go a different route for a few important reasons. First, we share these spaces with wildlife, and sudden repetitive noises like cowbells can cause unnecessary stress to the animals who call these areas home. Many of these aid stations where you are at, there are black bears, mountain lions, moose, elk, and deer. I love seeing moose out there from a distance. And I don't really care for us to have all these cowbells scaring them away. And then you're like, well, what about the bear and the mountain lion? They want nothing to do with you. They will not be approaching our aid stations to begin with. But we still want to be mindful that they are out there and we don't want to cause unnecessary stress to them. We are in their home. Second, many of our races happen near private residences, as I showed you on that map, and we want to be good neighbors and respectful guests on the land. So we're not going to make a ton of noise with cowbells that are going to further disrupt the folks who are already disrupting just by being there. And finally, and most importantly, we strive to create an inclusive environment for all runners, and some of our participants, crew members, and staff are neurodivergent. And loud, jarring sounds like cowbells can be incredibly overwhelming or even triggering. Look, we're all about cheering, clapping, hooting, and hollering in ways that lift each other up, just without the bells. So thanks so much for helping us keep the vibe strong and the volume respectful. Please save the noise for the finish line hugs. You can make all the noise that you want at the finish line. Just please no cowbells. Really appreciate you being mindful of that for us. All aid stations have quiet hours from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Please, that means don't play any music at your little crew spot. Quiet because of the neighbors. Please leave staff alone. Please leave staff alone. I see it all the time. You folks just love to approach aid station volunteers. Could you tell me what time runner number 107 passed through this? No, they cannot tell you that. They do not have that information. The aid stations do not communicate times to each other. There's no live tracking out there. We don't provide live tracking. I do want to show you how you can live track your runner on your own so that you will know where your runner is. That's a thing. Our staff needs to be focused 100% on runner tracking, and that means that their attention needs to be waiting for the runner to come out so they can record the time that they came in and record the time that they left. If we're distracting those volunteers, and again, we're already on a skeleton crew, they're not going to be able to adequately track our runners, and that is a huge safety issue. The acronym, CREW is an acronym for Cranky Runner Endless Waiting. CREW is an acronym for Cranky Runner Endless Waiting. I want to ask you to do the endless waiting part. Your runner will get there when they get there. If your runner DNFs at an aid station before, we will do everything in our power to communicate that information to you. Okay? Also, I want to highlight again that right now, we're in a time where some of you folks, if you have an iPhone especially, runners are able to text you via satellite technology. That's a thing. It's really cool. You just need to have an iPhone 14 or newer running on the latest operating system. I believe it's OS 8 or newer as well. And you can text each other via satellite technology. Not well if they're out of cell service, that's where they would use the satellite technology. They're not going to be able to do it on the run. What I'm saying is the runner can text you if they DNF at a station. And of course, you can go pick them up if they've DNF'd at some station and they're going to need a ride. We can help you out and we'll get you over there so you can pick them up. But there is a lifeline. Runners, make sure your runner knows because they're not watching this video, I'm sure. This is a lifeline. Make sure that it's charged. Make sure that it's on. Make sure that you have it to live track yourself out on the course to be able to communicate. I just want to show you quick here in the runner drive. There's a document here, runner navigation document. If you scroll all the way down, there is information about live tracking. And this discusses how using your own technology, you folks can track your runner's whereabouts. There really should be no reason at this point for you to approach an aid station person to ask them where your runner is. You have the capability. So we have this here so that you can be able to do that. Again, please follow the directions and parking plans. You may have to hike in a little, especially at Poor Man's. Again, follow all traffic laws. I know that the sheriffs will be out and Colorado Highway Patrol, especially along 285. And the Park County Fair is happening in Fairplay. So if you're going to and from Poor Man's Aid Station, the police and sheriff will be out in force in Fairplay. So be mindful. Drive slow. Take your time. Any kind of vehicle can make it to all of the stations that I have afforded you an opportunity to go to. Just drive slow. Please don't kick up too much dust. That is all that I have. I know it's a lot. Thank you so much for paying attention. And look forward to seeing you all at Silverheels Trail Runs this weekend to watch your runners do amazing things. Again, this is going to be an incredibly enjoyable experience for all of us, our volunteers, our staff, crews, pacers, spectators, and especially the runners, so long as we all follow the rules and guidelines and interact with all of these materials that I personally, everything that you've seen during this meeting has been created by one person. I'd like to think that I did it for my health, but it's actually poor for my health. And good for my health. All of these materials have been created for you all for a reason. And that's to ensure that we all have a successful race together and that the race can continue beyond this one. So I thank you so very much for entertaining this video. And I look forward to seeing everybody at the Silverheels Trail Runs. Thanks again.